This video is going to be over solving equations using the combined method. Alright, in this lesson you're going to learn how to solve equations that have a combined set of numbers. You will have to combine all the methods you have learned so far to solve these equations. So methods like, we're going to be looking at using the distributive property, you're also going to be reviewing equations that have fractions, addition and subtraction, as well as multiplication. Okay, we're going to review order of operations, and we're going to have a little twist on this order of operations this week. Alright, talking about the order of operations, now that you have learned the basics of solving equations, you can learn to solve equations that involve many different operations. So we have been practicing how just to do multiplication equations, just to do division equations. Now we're going to be doing ones that have many different operations. So you might have some fractions and some addition and subtraction. You might have multiplication and fractions. You might have a whole bunch of different things. So if you can remember the correct order in which to deal with these operations, then more complicated equations will not be as hard as you think they are. Okay, so remember the order of operations. We had parentheses, exponents, multiplication and division, and addition and subtraction. So that was the order that we learned multiplication. Now, solving equations involves working backwards, and we've talked about this many times, working backwards. So to find the value of a variable, so you should use the order of operations backwards. So what we're going to be talking about today is we have to do this PEMDAS. Instead of left to right, right to left. So in other words, you should undo addition and subtraction first, then multiplication and division, then exponents, and then the parentheses. So it used to be PEMDAS, which is parentheses, exponents, multiplication, division, addition, subtraction. That becomes SADMEP, I guess you could say. I don't have an acronym for it to go backwards, but instead of doing parentheses first, you're going to be doing subtraction first. So we're going to be working backwards to solve these problems. That's the most important thing to remember today. Alright, so if we are looking at this equation, 9z minus 3 equals 15. Well, you can see here we have multiplication because there's a letter and a number next to each other, and then here we have subtraction. So in the following equation, which operation should be first? So which are we going to do first in order to get z by itself? Because remember, in equations, the thing that you need to do is get the variable by itself. So that is what we're trying to do, okay? Remember, that's important. So if we're trying to get the variable by itself, we need to get rid of something. As if you can see here, we're going to get rid of this 9 first by dividing all numbers by 9, or we're going to get rid of the 3 first. We're going to get rid of the 3 first by adding 3 to both sides. Well, if we look at our order of operations, we are not starting here, we're starting here. So the first thing here, we have addition and subtraction. So that's the first thing that we do. So look down here. Should we do A, divide both sides by 9, B, multiply both sides by 9, C, add 3 to both sides, D, subtract 3 from both sides, or E, subtract 15 from both sides? Well, based on our order of operations, we should be adding 3 to both sides first. Alright, now, step 1, we figured out, the first step was to figure out what we're going to get rid of first. So to figure out which term you need to deal with first when involving equations, you should deal with addition and subtraction first. So that's what we did. So let's go ahead and finish this out. So we're going to plus 3 to both sides. So if we plus 3 to both sides, our 3's cancel out. Our 9z is brought down. 15 plus 3 is 18. So we are left with 9z equals 18. Step 2, now the equation is simpler. You should be able to see that multiplication is involved in the equation right here. So remember, we need to undo the multiplication, and to undo the multiplication you need to divide. So we're going to divide both sides by 9. Okay, and we are left with z equals 18 over 9, which you can simplify that as z equals 2. You should always check your work, so we need to substitute our z equals 2 into our equation. So 9 parenthesis 2 minus 3 equals 15. 9 times 2 is 18 minus 3 equals 15. 18 minus 3 is 15, and it does equal 15. So that is correct. Okay, what if we have this equation? 1/5 x plus 5 equals 10. Okay, the first thing we need to figure out is when you're dealing with equations, you do addition and subtraction first. So do we have any addition and subtraction in there? We do right here. We're adding our 5. So to get rid of our 5, you need to minus 5 from both sides. So we are left with 1/5 x equals 10 minus 5 is 5. See, now that our equation is simpler, this looks familiar. To get rid of our fraction here, remember you need to multiply by the reciprocal on both sides. So remember, when we're dealing with these fractions, we do need to multiply by the reciprocal to get rid of a fraction. So that is what we are going to do. So we're going to multiply this by 5 over 1. We can multiply this by 5 over 1. Remember, because both of them are over 1, you can get rid of that. That's okay. So these cancel out. We're left with x equals 25. You should always check your work. So 1/5 times 25 plus 5 equals 10. Now on your calculator, what you would need to do is do 1, and then there's a button called A, B / C. You're going to hit 1 A, B / C 5 times 25 plus 5. And you're going to hit equals. Okay? And you should get 10. Alright, it's your turn. I want you to try to solve these two problems on your own first. When you're done, hit the play button again and come back and see if you're correct. Now that you're back, let's review these problems. Remember, in addition or in equations, you need to do the backwards order of operations. So it's really going to be SADMEP. So we need to do addition and subtraction first. So let's get rid of this 2. Our 2's cancel out. We're left with 3n equals 11 minus 2, which is 9. The next step is to get rid of our 3, so we need to divide that out since it's multiplication. N equals 3. Okay, to check our work, 3 times 3 plus 2 is 11. So 9 plus 2 is 11, so that's correct. Okay, over here, we need to get rid of our 5 first. Our 5's cancel out. We're left with 1/2 y equals 20. To get rid of a fraction, you need to multiply by its reciprocal on both sides. Those cancel out. We're left with y equals 20 times 2. Remember, in multiplication of fractions, you multiply straight across. So 20 times 2 is 40. So y equals 40. You would do 1/2 times 40 plus 5 equals 25. On your calculator, remember, you would do 1 a b/c 2 times 40 plus 5 equals 1/2 of 40 is 20, so 20 plus 5 is 25, so that is correct. Hopefully this has been helpful to you. If you still have problems using the combined method, you can review your lesson again before you take your quiz. Remember, the most important part of doing these equations is to do the order of operations backwards. You want to get rid of addition and subtraction first, then multiplication and division, and then exponents and parentheses. So if you can remember SADMIP, I guess you could say, you will be fine when doing equations.